Tudor unveiled the new Pelagos 39 just over a week ago after some very cryptic teasers, and we have to admit, we were not expecting this at all. Tudor, Rolex's sister company, has been making strides, but they've never released a watch that can be compared this closely to the Rolex Submariner. This is why we're very excited to be sharing this review video today. Tudor's newest diver is a titanium Pelagos with a satin brushed finish, measuring 39mm in diameter and 11.8mm in thickness. No date is provided, and only a single red line of text is present. This watch is at the intersection of the metropolitan sophisticated world with the world of technical diving. Again, if you've been following Tudor for a while now, you probably know that this kind of watch is not what you expect from Tudor. And no, this is not us being mean. Anyway, in this video we provide an in-depth review of the Tudor Pelagos 39, and we mean in-depth, while comparing it side by side with the Rolex Submariner. Urban, with a vintage appeal. Simple, yet sophisticated. Lightweight, but not hollow. The Pelagos 39 is a lot of things that we didn't see coming. For a small Pelagos, this model does more than expected while feeling lightweight. Let's start with the numbers, shall we? We watch enthusiasts live for the numbers, don't you agree? The Pelagos 39 is 107 grams in the unsized bracelet and measures 39mm in width, 11.8mm in thickness, and 47mm in lug to lug. The bracelet tapers from a 21mm lug width to a 16mm lug width at the clasp. The caseback is closed, screws down, there is no helium escape valve, and the water resistance is 200 meters. Now remember that when it comes to watch photography, everything depends on the light and how it reflects off the bezel, so you might notice the Pelagos 39 may appear very differently in person than it does in Tudor's renderings and pictures. The bezel resembles the matte bezel of its sibling models when viewed in low light or shadow, appearing black with some brushing-induced grain. The brushed surface on the bezel reflects a lot of light, making it appear much lighter in tone and more reflective of the colors in the surrounding environment. If you're going to be taking photographs of this watch, you might want to add some sunlight or a flash. That being said, this is a totally new look for the Pelagos and we love it. The bezel can appear very eerie due to the stark contrast between the deep black of the dial and the grays of the bezel. The Pelagos 39 appears more like a black Pelagos in a darker setting. Again, strikes significantly differently under bright lighting. Although the ceramic bezel insert interacts with light, it lacks the matte bezel seen on most basic Pelagos models in terms of clarity. Now, many reviewers have been raving about how this watch is a perfect fit, and the truth is, we agree. The Pelagos 39 fits the wrist perfectly, almost as if it was custom made. So for that part, we give it a gold star. It has a similar fit to a Black Bay 58, but is significantly lighter and has a crisper, more contemporary texture and design. Oh, and we love the smooth bezel rotation with a slightly muffled 60-click sound. The crown is strong and simple to use, just like the Pelagos range. Even with the entire bracelet, the Pelagos 39 is light, but not to the point of seeming tinny or hollow. The Pelagos 39 feels well made and of a quality matching what we've come to expect from the Pelagos range, from the bezel to the crown to the clasp. One of our favorite features of the Pelagos has always been the totally loomed bezel, which matches the hands and square hour markers. You might find that the hands on the Pelagos 39 were marginally less brilliant than the markers and bezel scale. A lot of light is absorbed by the dark, semi-glossy dial, which provides a lot of contrast to the nearly iridescent bezel finish. The balance is good, and the Pelagos 39 lacks a date window with 4 lines of text, including the model signature in red. Now, in terms of aesthetics, the rehaut, or the ring that surrounds the dial, has a whole new design here. The Pelagos 39 has a more traditional sloped ring with minute marks as opposed to the usual Pelagos models, which feature a more three-dimensional design that wraps around the markers. In terms of legibility and bridging, the depth between the dial and the crystal, which again is deeper than you might anticipate for a watch that is less than 12mm thick, the rehaut for the Pelagos 39 performs a good job. In certain pictures, the bezel appears to be just slightly out of alignment since it is deep enough. The MT5400, a no-date automatic chronometer movement with a power reserve of 70 hours, is housed inside this innovative titanium case, and it runs at 4 Hz. The MT5400 is one of the manufactured movements produced by Tudor and Kinesi and is backed by a 5-year warranty. The Tudor Black Bay 58s, such as the 925, a number of other no-date models use the same movement. The bracelet is also gorgeous with single-sided screwed links, a fold-over clasp with T-fit. This is 8mm of toolless adjustment and a 25mm wetsuit extension. Resembles the clasp used by normal Pelagos. Do you miss seeing the earlier model's fantastic self-adjusting clasp? Let us know in the comments, because we do too. But that doesn't diminish how simple it is to make a minor comfort adjustment with T-fit. Comfort is a deal breaker for most people. We're so glad this model caters to those who want to seem stylish while keeping it casual. Okay, so the question that everyone wants to know is, how does the Pelagos 39 compare with the Submariner, and could it possibly be a cheaper alternative? These two watches are a lot similar and a whole lot different. How? Well, let's start with a very similar case dimension. Looking at these two watches, you can see that the thickness of the Pelagos 39's lugs is lesser than the Submariner's. Just to mention it again, the Pelagos 39 is 11.8mm thick, while the Submariner is 12.5mm thick. That's not all. The Pelagos 39 has water resistance for down to 200 meters, while the Submariner gives an additional water resistance of 300 meters. So if depth is a deal breaker for you, then the Submariner may be the best fit. If we think about it, the Pelagos 39's water resistance of 200 meters explains the case thickness difference, so we're not complaining. Now, to the lug-to-lug difference. The Pelagos 39 model is 47mm lug-to-lug, while the Submariner is 48mm lug-to-lug. Then we have 21mm lug width on the Pelagos and a 20mm on the Submariner. The Pelagos 39 tapers down to about 16mm on the last link and then back out to 18mm on the T-fit clasp. On the other hand, the Rolex Submariners was a little thinner than 16mm, measuring up to 15.4mm and then 17.5mm on the clasp. So while the two watches may look similar from the outside, they're quite different in so many ways. With the Tudor Pelagos 39 being priced at $4,400 with a complete titanium bracelet and rubber strap, it may be a great alternative to the Submariner, considering the chances of you getting a sub is near impossible anyway. Overall, the Pelagos 39 is one to use and enjoy. Perhaps it is the answer to our prayers for a watch that can be used every day, but with the same superb functionality as any other vintage watch. Again, we must say, it struck us differently than we anticipated from a smaller Pelagos. It has a different visual impact, and being smaller in every dimension makes it feel very different on the wrist. The snowflake hand is the only vintage-inspired design element on the watch, but the rest of the dial, bezel, and text are all black, giving the Pelagos 39 the appearance of a contemporary interpretation of a vintage sub, despite having neither faux vintage coloring nor vintage-specific design elements. That's possibly the best way to think about the Pelagos 39, not merely as a scaled-down Pelagos, but as a modern-day Tudor sub, built on the most cutting-edge and capable design the company has ever produced.